with the public hearing on the amendment to the zoning regulation. And that's officially at 6:30. We're going to start. And so if Chris would just come up and give a quickie of what this is, because this is the second one.
Great. Good evening. I'm Chris Shaheen. I'm the town planner. I'll just walk through these slides real quick. So the town of Jericho is requesting a change to its bylaws to add municipal facility town garage as a conditional use in the open space zoning district. You can just go on to the next slide if you want to. Currently, the zoning does not allow the town garage in the open space district, which is where it is currently located. You can see on the image on the screen, all of the white areas shown on the town of Jericho is the open space zone, where the red star is the existing location of the town garage. It is in an open space zone. The report from the designing firm of the town garage has recommended that it stay in the same location. The town residents have voted to rebuild the town garage in the current location. Since zoning does not allow it there, to be consistent, making sure we're playing by the rules, we are amending the zoning regulations to allow a town garage in the open space zone. That involved adding a town garage as a specific use to the use table. So we added a definition for that. We modified the definition of a municipal facility just to be consistent with that. If you want to go to the next slide. And then we amended the zoning use table. We added a new use, which is the municipal facilities town garage. The development standards where all the uses are listed. We added something for parking standards. It's basically what was there before for all municipal facilities. And then we also updated the use table in the Riverside character-based zone, which lists all of the uses, even if they're not allowed in the zone. So we just added it there to be consistent. And then I guess I should go back to the number 4, the zoning use table. You can see on that table. No, one more, not the other way.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So I think at the last hearing, there was a question, what zone was the municipal facilities currently allowed? And you can see here across the bottom of the number 4 zoning uses, municipal facility other. Previous to this revision, the town garage would have been allowed in the rural agricultural residential zone, low density residential village, and commercial zone. By making this change and allowing it in the open space zone, we're actually being more restrictive on where the town garage could go by allowing it just in the open space zone and in the commercial zone.
Thank you. Are there people who wish to comment on this? Is there a public hearing? You don't see any hands, do we?
Nope.
All right, so officially we should then.
I'll make a motion to approve the amended zoning regulations as presented by Christian.
I will second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, next we should actually go ahead and close the public hearing to the zoning regulations and then open the public hearing to the official. I suspect we should probably the motion.
I'll make a motion
Sorry, no, go ahead.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing on the amendment to the zoning regulations and subsequently open the hearing on the capital budget plan.
Look at that efficiency. I'll second that double motion.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Excellent.
Right on schedule.
Right on schedule. All righty. So since this is the first time people will be seeing the full capital budget, we should walk through it. If you don't mind, Paula.
Yeah, so I thought Brian, is Brian on? Do you see? Because I got 6 people. Okay. Yep, nope, I know. Okay. Yep. Perfect. Yeah, so we are you'll see FY26. This is the bond payment, and it's the full bond. It's not what's coming out of the each payment per year. It's actually 303,594, I think it is, each year, but this is the total bond. This is the, I believe this is the $100,000 that the Planning Commission was asking to be put into the wastewater. And you'll see that in the general operating budget as well in a different spot. But that is the $100 that was asked by the $100,000 asked by the Planning Commission. The 295 back in highways, road improvements. Last year, we opted to reduce it 100,000 to 100,000. This year, we need to put it back to 295 to do some, I think we have 3 roads that are on the list to be upgraded, paved. Bridges and culverts. This is the V-Trans Bridge 15 down below the Jericho Highway Department. That is going to be starting this coming year, I believe, late spring, early summer. So that's the cost of that bridge. And the town's only, town's portion, I think, is 5% of that. Old pump, we did put this one in here, hoping that we'll get a structures grant for old pump bridge repair. But the 150,000 is in here, but you'll see in the general operating budget, if we get the structures grant, it'll cost us $30,000.
And so the budget, I believe, reflects,
Yes,
it reflects, it assumes that we're getting that.
correct. It does. Yep, absolutely. The next line, heavy equipment, you will see so we haven't purchased trucks in the last couple of years. So we are going to add, this takes place of one tandem. We're going to add trade in, we're going to be trading in our low pro for this Ford 600 pickup truck and also the backhoe. So that's equivalent to one tandem truck. So that's in there. Other equipment, that 30,000, I am unsure what that is, why he has that. I believe that might be the payment for the municipal loan fund for the loader.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Yep. Yes, yep. Sidewalks, 750,000, that's for Riverside Sidewalk because that's going to be going into construction this year. And that's the total grant amount. So let's see. On proceeds, I think transferred from the building. That I believe is the
Right, so if you scroll back up, so what I think he's doing there.
Yep, is
that's
taking out.
4.6 million
Mhm.
is what the cost is.
Yep,
then
and
down
this
there,
is what-
sources of funding, so we're 4.1 comes from the bond, and then
Yep.
500,000 comes from the ARPA.
Exactly, yep, yep,
To use the first year.
right. And general fund, there's the $100,000. And I believe, like you said, Eric, it's up above, but it actually, he's putting it here. Yep, yep, yep,
So,
exactly.
Right.
which
And
is, which was, I know this isn't this part of the meeting, but which is what was contained in the letter from the planning commission.
Mm-hmm,
That is this line right here.
yes,
Yep.
yep,
And it comes out of the general fund, not out of
Taxes.
new revenue
correct.
for this year.
Yep.
Yes. Right.
Let's see. There won't be any paving grants this year.
Well, you need
Why
to
not?
do the bridges, the bridge money, the grant for the state for the bridge.
Oh, yep, sorry, I missed that one. Yes, so that's yes, that is, you'll see, that is the Bridge 15.
The difference between what they're putting in is what we have to match.
Yep. Yeah, I think that one, like I said, it's a 5% match on that one. Reserve fund transfers. That's what I believe is gonna be. I should have the budget here so I can tell you exactly what those numbers are, 281.
That's coming in from the reserve fund to cover our costs, I think, for the.
I don't have mine
Sidewalk?
numbered.
There is road improvements as well.
281 and 283 on that. You have the bigger one, Catherine. What number is that?
Bridge replacement fund and sidewalk and paths fund. So I think what that is, that's for the.
Both of
For
those.
both of those
Yep.
things.
Yeah, yeah, because I think I believe for the V-Trans bridge, it's like $100,000, and then the other portion is for the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Road impact fees, 50,000, and I think that gets just transferred over to the reserves. And loans, those are the loans that we have outstanding right now for the vehicle equipment, which I believe is a municipal loan fund for the loader. And there is actually a couple others that are in there as well, which I don't have my paper for, but
But then the operating funds are what we, we're gonna ask in taxes.
yes.
That's the general operation budget.
Mm-hmm.
And so we will take, that was a very quick rundown, but we could, take any comments, from the public, since it's a public hearing on the capital budget. Anybody have any comments on, yes, Jim?
Just a general comment, I understand you're doing the budget, but itemizing a specific type of truck for backhoe, a piece of equipment on your budget, I think is a mistake. You should put the specifications, what it is that you're buying, not a specific make or model, because it may be that General Motors has got the greatest truck or international. But it gets confusing if you're saying that I'm gonna buy a specific piece of machine.
Thank you, Jim. Any other comments for the capital budget? Chuck?
What is your point of view on the out years here? It just seems a little thin.
Yeah,
I had that same question, the last meeting from Brian, he said, yeah, this is a big year, and it gets thinner and falling out.
So you're planning on no more expenditures on water or wastewater? And no,
it will change from year to year. It's not going to be consistent. Right now, the ask is for $100,000 this year. And the planning commission is, will be working to determine what the future costs will be that will go into a 20-year capital budget next year.
right, but, okay, I guess that's why I'm asking the point of view. You think on a budget, I mean, on the out years, obviously it's going to be adjusted, but you're kind of signaling to yourself and others, you know, kind of what your intentions are. I mean, you're planning on, you're planning on spending money on roads. You made that clear.
Well, I think we have a vision, I speaking for myself, I think that the select board of the town has a pretty clear vision of what's coming down the road on highways and what those expenses are expected to be. I don't feel like we have a vision of that, of what those expenses are gonna be for wastewater, because we're gonna be sort of asking forming the wastewater committee and then asking them for guidance around it, and looking into funding and what do they think that we need down the road for amounts, rather than just sort of putting random amounts in there. I hear what you're saying about it, not that you feeling like it signals that we're not gonna be doing anything with this, we don't need money. But I think that we're just leaving it blank right now because we don't know what that ask is gonna look like. That's my thought.
So, yeah, that is your point of view.
Yes,
So if I were to say, what do you intend to spend the $200,000 for in fiscal year 30 for roads, you would have an idea.
I personally wouldn't, but.
Yeah.
Somebody does.
Yeah.
Somebody does. But what the intent is of the $100,000 from the planning
I read
commission.
the letter. Yeah.
Okay, you saw the letter. That's what it's going to be. And later in the regular meeting, we will be discussing the UPWP ask, which will also confirm what is going to happen and what the ask is. Are there any other questions about the capital budget?
Nope,
If not,
Anybody online?
nope.
we can,
There were a bunch of people that I happened to get distracted by an email and I saw a bunch of people not able to attend.
Okay, well,
I think they might have clicked on the yesterday's meeting and we're trying to wait in there, so I sent out a new one, so there just might be a few people on their way.
Oh,
in,
good,
so
good.
okay, so there are people out there?
I don't know if there's people.
No, no questions
No
on,
questions?
Yep.
Okay. So what we will do is close the public hearing and then approve, approve the capital budget to be incorporated into the general budget for 2026.
Before we do that,
Yeah.
before that, we had talked at the last meeting about all of bringing the capital plan to the planning commission and having,
Mhm.
getting their.
They had it.
And did they have anything in particular they wanted to add or put in front of us or think about or?
nothing that I've heard. I sent it and, yeah, Yep.
The priority issue was the funding. for
Yep.
wastewater.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chris.
So that's what we need to do.
So, need a motion to close that hearing?
So
Yeah, close it and
can
then
we do
accept.
it? Can we accept it after it's closed?
You could approve it either way.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and I'll make a motion to approve the capital budget.
I will second that.
All those in favor say aye.
I'll make a motion to close the capital budget hearing meeting.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, now as we move into the regular meeting, I get to start each meeting. In an effort to make meetings more effective and efficient, the select board has made a change to the public comment portion of the meeting. Citizens or others wishing to address the select board during a meeting may do so during the public comment portion of the meeting. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes per speaker. All speakers will be heard before people are given a second opportunity to speak. Once the public comment portion of the meeting is over, the public will be able to speak if the chair determines that input is needed during another portion of the meeting. For participants on Zoom, if you have a question, please raise your hand. Please only use the Zoom chat for technical issues such as room audio, or you can't raise your hand or things of that nature. Please do not comment or question in the chat as it is distracting for all. The intent of this policy is not to stifle community input, rather to allow the select board to be more effective and efficient in our work. People are welcome to email the members of the select board at any time with feedback or questions. Our email addresses are on the town's website and on the notice on the sign-in table. So we start with public to be heard. Are the people just wishing to speak on something that is not on the agenda? Don't see any.
No, no.
Okay. So. Well, guess what, Sue, you're up. Do I sit up here?
Come on up.
We've been asked to appoint Sue Kasser to the D, is that how your name is pronounced?
Yeah.
To the DEI committee with a term expiring in 2026. So as usual, we start with the easy stuff, if you give us a little information about yourself and why you're interested in the DEI committee.
So I am interested in the committee. Well, first, Wendy, it's
Yeah.
piqued my interest.
Well, that's good. Wendy's very good.
So I've been at UVA about 28 years. I'm retiring in May, which means I have more time to contribute to the town. And I, at UVM, have served on our college DEI committee for years.
wow, that's
and I also
great.
serve on the University Diversity Council as a rep for my college. So it's been work that I've been engaged in for a number of years and I'm passionate about.
That's great.
And my professional work is related to disability and health.
Oh, wow.
That's great.
Very important. That's pretty important. You really have a background in it. Any other comments you want to make?
Sure, if you got your pick, what would be the one thing Jericho could do to improve the important matters that the DEI committee is thinking about?
Wow. Well, I'm new to the DEI committee, so I have to get a little bit more familiar with strategic goals and
Sounds like you're only new to this particular DEI committee.
Wendy did share with me some of the things that have taken place in the last year or so with the committee and I think dovetailing some of, if I had a magic wand and it was optimal, dovetailing some of the other initiatives in town to fully appreciate inclusive practices. I'm shooting here from the hip, but like housing, how can the difficulty in housing and rent and all of those things be considered from a more inclusive standpoint, just other than socioeconomic level? I mean, there's a lot of social determinants that intersect with one another. And I'll have to get situated first and understand the context and what the lay of the land is before I really could fully appreciate what might be.
It's a good answer.
Thank you.
I'm friends with Sue, so I'm on board. I'm on team Sue, so I got my vote.
All right, well then with that, I'll make a motion to appoint Sue Kasser to the DEI committee with a term expiring in 2026.
I will second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Well, thank you very much for your.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Congratulations on retirement.
and I'll get back to you on that.
What we need to do.
That's very good. Cause that's a toughie across the county, that's for sure.
Mm.
The next is, select board support for the application of UPWP grants from Chris Shaheen.
I like that that shirt makes it look like you're wearing suspenders, but you're in.
So it's going.
I only did that. I noticed that.
All right, Chris.
It's a nice way to add levity. to our discussion.
I think levity's the only value I provide anyway.
All right, go ahead, Chris.
Great. So in your meeting package, there was an overview of two UPWP proposals, which Council has pulled together to submit to Chittenden County Regional Planning Commission. The deadline is tomorrow. One of the parts of the application is a letter of support from the legislative body of whoever is applying, which would be the select board, just verifying that we have the funding available and staff to work on the project. So that's the basis for getting this to the select board at today's meeting. So there are two projects. One is to have staff at CCRPC manage our consultant doing the next phase of the wastewater study. So that would be a preliminary engineering report and providing staff support for the wastewater committee that will be created. We've had initial discussions with staff at CCRP in terms of what that would cost. They think it'd be in the range of around $25,000-$30,000, and a specific list of things which they would do for us. They have done this for other towns, so I think they have a pretty good idea of what that would be. So that is where this idea has come from in the proposal for that. I should also add, Chris Brown has been going to state seminars about wastewater. One of the last ones he went to, they were really talking about the importance of having a project manager championing the project, one person for the town, which was why we thought we would make this request of CCRPC. So if this goes well, it is something that we can continue to ask for in out years as we move along with the project. I would likely be the point of contact in the town, but then have help with CCRPC to the consultant and staff, the wastewater committee. So that's the first.
Oh,
one.
so the CC, so I'm trying to put together what you said about Chris and the money. So this would be the money to fund that person from the CCRPC, not from
Correct.
CCRPC to do that role that Chris is hearing is very important.
Correct.
Okay.
Sorry.
No,
Yes,
no,
but that's exactly, yeah.
Yeah, they have done it for other towns, and they do certain things like this for other towns on a fee for service basis.
And you may know this, but just to make sure it's clear, we are putting a proposal together for CCRPC to consider. They may not choose to move forward with this, but we're putting the request in. We're letting them know we have all our ducks in a row in case they decide to move forward.
That's very important.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna ask. Do we have a sense of the likelihood? Is it a 10% chance? Is it an 80% chance? Like, do you have any, I know I'm not asking you to look at a crystal ball but like, do you have a sense of, yeah, we'll probably get it, or it's just a long shot? Like, what are you thinking?
I can answer as best I can because I've been there a while. The RPC tries to accommodate as many asks as possible from the community. And ours is a different kind because we're paying for it so it's really about staff capacity rather than federal funding.
Mhm.
And they're not sure yet in terms of capacity because it all depends on how many grant applications come in, how many applications come in for this UPWP year. They certainly have funding for transportation projects because the feds have put a lot of money in the last couple of years. But they're also at the meeting last night, they talked about several staff and they're experiencing a mini baby boom. And that may slow the process down. I think we still have a good chance. It just may not be the beginning of the year. It may be when some of the other planners come back in or something like, depending on how it plays out. And they think they may be hiring a part-time person anyway to help cover the baby boom time off.
I do know that this project, as well as the next one, which I'm going to describe, is perfectly in line with the ECOS plan, and it's one of the priority issues that I know that they're focusing on. So I think in that sense,
Yeah.
there's a good chance that would get funded, but I think Catherine's ready really gets down to capacity.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yeah, it's just a matter of they're trying to, be able to cover the folks that are off on maternity and paternity leave.
So what's the second one?
So the second one is CCRPC staff technical support to update our bylaws natural resource overlay section. In previous years, the select board has funded through the Conservation Commission, I think over $10,000 or $15,000 work to assess forest blocks and wildlife connections. That work has been done, so we have an updated map showing where our forest blocks are, priority forest blocks are. That is a resource that is not fully mapped on the natural resource overlay zone. So since we've been focusing a lot the last year on the village centers, it seemed like a nice complement to look at the outlying parts of the town, the more rural areas of town. It's also aligns with work that or legislation that's recently passed through the state. There are these different tiers of lands that they are identifying now. One is tier 3, which is priority natural resource areas. This would further lay the groundwork for the state and CCRPC when they come through to start mapping natural resources. This is a project that I know CCRPC staff is very interested in. It aligns with a lot of their interests,
Yes.
I think personally, as well as for the region. We have worked with the Conservation Commission to come up with a work plan for the next year that outlines what I would be doing as town planner, what the Conservation Commission would be doing, what role the Planning Commission plays, and exactly what we would want CCRPC staff to do. So they would specifically be looking at the new information that we pulled together, assessing how it would fit in with our existing overlay map, looking at best practices in other municipalities to see what approach we might want to take in updating our bylaws, and then proposing specific updates to the bylaws.
What do we have to come?
They did say that the budget for this is much less than it would be for other towns because a lot of the work that we've already done on this. They've also and I think the whole region sees Jericho as a real leader with our natural resources overlay. I've been told repeatedly since I've been here, how many times they point to Jericho's natural resources overlay as a model for how to do this. So this, I think they're also seeing it as opportunity to showcase what we've done and then taking it the next step further.
I'd say we're leaders in just about everything, really.
Oh, boy.
So do you need,
Yes.
do you need a letter?
He needs
to
an
sign?
official-
We need an official motion? What do we need for
Yeah,
that?
so you have two things. So one is an overview that just kind of gives you background on it, and then the other is a draft letter from Catherine to CCRPC.
You'll see it on, it,
Very top of this.
Yep, I left it. I made you a new copy underneath probably your paperwork there. There's a new copy.
We also need to, but we need to also make a motion that we do approve that. Approve the application.
I'll make a
Because
motion.
you're committing money, you know, these are.
We wouldn't approve you signing a letter from the select board.
You have two motions.
I'm gonna do this one's to Eric.
I don't know exactly what I'm doing. So I'll make a motion to approve the application of the UPWP grant. Does that cover me, Kathy?
Yeah, the grant application,
For 2 proposals.
For 2 proposals.
that's it. Which one is it?
I would second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'll make a motion directing Catherine to send a letter to the UPWP committee and CCRPC, explaining our application process and the select board support for it.
I'll second that.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Excellent, that's it.
Thank you.
Yep, he had that all done
Yeah,
for you.
3
He did it.
motions, Chris.
So Chris, the top 2 of these,
So
that's
it's just
our
a
letter,
government- I
and this
just
is
get
your
to
letter
scroll down
below
any-
talking about it.
Oh,
Right, it's
Yeah.
a draft letter. Yeah, and it's
I would
basically
put
summarizes
your name and then
information.
select board down below it.
Okay, great.
Okay, I will sign it.
Okay,
Thank you.
And to be clear, only you need to sign or?
yes.
I will need to sign it. But usually there's that line that you.
Yep. You forgot the line.
We can add it.
You forgot the line.
I love giving him grief.
We're creatures of habit here.
We are very creatures of habit.
Thanks so
You see
much
the-
for this,
You
Chris.
see the line and then you see the print.
Yep.
But this is huge. The fact that that lines
That
up
is
with,
true.
with what we're
Yeah.
getting from the planning commission and our biggest challenge and goal of wastewater. This is really good.
No, not this one,
Really good
Catherine.
to move forward.
Not this one, Catherine.
Oh, so that's.
There should be another one.
The one that says
Yep.
from you.
Yep.
Oh,
and you can pick mine.
well. I have several that had from me, you know, it seemed like. I have them too. I had several of them, so I didn't know which one,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that one's from you.
but then it's the whole thing.
And then it's just the first 2 pages of that. Now rip that off.
Yeah,
Right off there.
there's all kinds of these papers.
There you go.
I had 3 copies of
Look
this.
at
Chris made it difficult.
Look who's struggling with paper. It would be easy if you just got a little.
Oh, Catherine.
Oh, man.
Oh, I love DocuSign. When I was here at RPC, that's all you had to do.
No, that's-
Those are nice.
But, you know, it's very cool. You're signing your name to, you know, $300 million project.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
You go, no, that can't be right. It's wrong. All right, it's still in the line.
All right.
There we go. We have everything.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
I just didn't read the 2s in the front. Now you're
Eric,
good.
can you hear me?
Oh,
There
sorry.
you go.
I was looking at the budget.
Oh,
Here you go, Chris.
piece of
Oh,
paper
thanks.
just fell. I don't know if it's yours or
Okay.
mine.
Okay.
All right,
I didn't
next,
realize Tom was on the call. Tom and Sabina were very helpful in pulling together the work program for the natural resource overlay. Wanted to acknowledge that.
Thanks, Tom and Sabina.
yeah, we can't see you, but we thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yep, likewise, you're welcome. And thank you for reaffirming support of what we've been doing here for ages. Much appreciated.
You do good work. I mean, it's important with some of the new state laws, that's for sure. Okay, next is, we're gonna review the budget. And the high level changes.
Yeah, I kind of told a little bit about it before the meeting, but I was sad to see that we had gotten it down to 18 yesterday and it's back to 21. So we're at 21.3.
21.2278. Yep.
And the bulk of that change is
Highway.
are 2 things, are the highway and the healthcare.
Yep.
Those 2 things equaled up to that 3%.
Mhm. The highway and the health.
Highway and the healthcare,
Those are the two changes that we
Well, I mean,
made.
but healthcare goes up 22%.
no, it's a stipend, didn't go up.
Well, I know, but.
I mean, I just mean-
The overall healthcare went up 22%.
No, but what I mean is
But
from-
that was just, but
But,
yeah.
but I
like
mean,
it
I mean,
didn't
from
vary
yesterday at
Yes, they did it.
3:30 to today,
Yeah,
It was that
that
adding in
there's
18,000.
gotta be more.
We added in 27, it's like 22,000 in healthcare. And then,
22,770.
yeah, and then I don't know what.
but we capped, I don't know, we're going to cap it too, so. Yeah.
And
So
the
1%,
the highway,
1% $300,000 though,
Yeah,
or is it $30,000? Is Peter, help me on that. 1% is $30,000. So we added $90,000 back in since yesterday.
you added, so highway worker, 46,800 was just the pay, 23,000
oh, yeah.
was the health.
Six.
There were
with the
seven.
six.
And then the
And
22.
Healthcare change, $6,000 healthcare. change,
Yes.
like 318.
Yep,
Jacob, one, even though we may or may not be able to fund it. I mean, we need to fund it if he gets it. If he doesn't, then we don't spend it. Is really the explanation there. But they're currently working at 5, and that's not ideal. And the highway department would like to have back to 6 if they possibly can, so we felt we should fund it.
Okay, so that means then. I can't. I somehow am not articulating this well. The main reason that I initially proposed removing the 6th member had nothing to do with the need for the 6th member.
Nope.
And it was more to do with the fact that we have not had 6 since I've been here. So I'm going on my 4th year now.
Well, there actually was a time, there's a couple months we had 6.
Even in the last 3 years, we had 6?
Yeah. Yeah, at one point we did.
It seemed like we've always had an open, okay, so anyway, my first question as in part of that train of thought is, so this budget has that we're currently operating in
Mhm.
right now has 6.
mm-hmm,
Which we haven't used at all.
So we haven't used that,
Correct.
and so is that overrun just part of what's piling up and
Probably.
Part of that
Yep.
checkbook
allow,
balance that's-
what it's allowing us to move money into the
Mhm.
other.
The 100,000 into,
Mhm.
pay the 100,000 for the planning.
And
commission.
offsetting things that cost too much.
Yeah,
right, right.
it's just,
It's frustrating.
it's annoying to ask taxpayers for more money that we so far in the last 4 years haven't been able to spend. Is another way to, what I'm trying to phrase. That's what I'm struggling with.
And I don't have a sense, I don't want to throw me on the bus or overspeed, but I don't have a sense from Jacob that, oh my God, we're flat out, we're.
That's what he had asked earlier, and I,
Banging out all this OT this year, we got
Right.
another guy in here, 'cause we're all dying.
So,
Yeah, now
so we asked,
mitigating OT is, to me, is a wash, right? As you
Right,
get less
right,
OT, you get blah,
right.
blah, blah, we're good, but, okay.
so you asked Jacob.
yeah,
She did
and
ask Jacob, yeah, and that's what we had directed her to do at the end of yesterday's session. I thought we were gonna end up with adding a potential part-time,
mhm.
but it sounds like he's feeling that he needs the 6. And, we're really good in this town about supporting our highway, but
And that's the
I
biggest
just
part of our,
think that 21%, 21.2%.
but that's the biggest part of our budget, is the highway too, when you look at the pie charts.
I know.
I mean, because people want to have the roads. I mean, we were very lucky yesterday, I guess, because we had, some snow, a decent amount, but we didn't have what Underhill got.
Yeah, I know they delayed school study.
And Brad Holden was there last night at the RPC meeting.
So I guess my question is, in terms of our process, this is, whatever, do I have the ability right now to say, I want to change that 6th person to a 20-hour-a-week part-time person? Or do we have to vote a budget out tonight, and so we can't ask Brian and Amy and Paula to do the math to make that number?
Well, theoretically.
It'll be half of that.
Yeah, if you have.
It'd be half of that minus healthcare.
True.
That's.
Exactly.
It's much less than that.
Yeah, you're right.
It's gonna
Yep.
go from like 80
30%.
to, right, it's gonna go from like 60,000 to like 20,000.
You could ask them, but we have to vote it out, with the numbers to be determined then. because unless they can do it right now.
So, I mean, but.
This is the last discussion, because we have to vote it out tonight so that it goes to everything tomorrow for town meeting
Okay,
reimagined.
so can we vote it out tonight without saying what the actual budget number is, but say in the motion for the budget number to be calculated by staff tomorrow morning?
And are you saying doing 20 hours for the?
I'm not, this is all hypothetical.
Yep.
I mean, in terms of what we're able to do.
Mm.
Like, can we do that? Can we vote the budget out tonight with the understanding that we don't know what the number is because they need to run the numbers on going from full-time to half-time?
Sure, I mean, this is
We
your
could-
budget. I mean, because
I can do that
then,
here.
town meeting
I have-
reimagined, people can look at that and go, no, I want to go back to full-time.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about legally, what we have to.
It's not,
You
We
can
have to
actually
be on the
just
budget
change
tonight.
that to 20
for us, but it's not
and take out
legal,
the health
but
insurance.
It's driving it. It's not legality driving it, it's just our timetable.
Our timetable,
Okay.
exactly.
Then I think I would advocate for that. I'd advocate for taking the sixth person, cut it, and then.
Because it might get you below
I'm
the
just
21.
one person here, but for the full-time sixth person. to be
Well,
a
I mean,
half-time,
Eric's
there's
been,
no help.
I mean, we've been back and forth over this, because Eric is right, most of the time we've not, there's been a time when we'd have six, and then we had somebody left, or somebody was, had health issues, or somebody retired, or any,
Did you take it out?
Sure, it worked.
So now go
So
over.
the question I asked, and I know I kind of got the answer I didn't want. That dropped it by 2%, made it 19.8. So is this for other than maybe a few months? I'm just gonna state it again. For the last 4 years, we've been budgeting for 6. We've been paying for 5. That's just what's happened. What happens if we budget for 5 in fiscal year 26? And we end up with 6, like what happened? Why is it okay to overspend
Mm,
and not okay to
Mm,
under budget?
mm,
And I'm not looking to under budget and get us in trouble either. I'm just, again, I really think the budget should be accurate, you know,
Mhm.
and
Budgets are never exactly accurate, that's why we do budget, and we
So are you advocating to not do what I said, but just to make it 5?
so what I'm advocating is, if we remove that line from the budget, are we telling Jacob, you're not allowed to hire a 6th person no matter what happens? We end up with 17 more roads, we end up with.
Well, it would be him, he'd have to come to us and say, hey, I'm getting slammed, we need a 6th person, you got it.
you gotta do it, yeah,
It's like an expenditure that's over $5,000, so we have to approve it.
right.
Okay, so it would have to be something that we talk about and we say, yes, we do indeed. So we're deciding right now that. Yeah, we need 6, even though we haven't had them ever,
Yeah.
or we're saying
what's
he's gotta go to
hap- what-
5 or
why-
5.5.5.
And that goes to the unrestricted general, what doesn't get spent, but if you look at you look at like 2024, I mean, with the budget, the actual or there was this, there's differences that happen along the way. And like this year, we're going in 2025, see a big difference in budget because of the flooding. And things that you don't spend end up in the unrestricted general fund balance. And that's technically your rainy day fund, so that you can go ahead and cover all the FEMA costs without having to, like Bolton has to get a loan to do so.
Yep.
And because FEMA does not reimburse you for interest rates, I mean, you just, you gotta suck that up.
Right.
And
Well,
so
okay,
the
let's not
taxpayer,
get too into the weeds. Let's
Yeah.
keep this at, what are we gonna do about this item?
Yeah, I have one more question. How many trucks do we have?
4 tandems, 2 pickup trucks.
one of those, is one gonna disappear, you're gonna keep,
A low pro is gonna be traded in for the F600.
okay, so you see, we're gonna get,
I was just wondering, do we have enough trucks for 6 guys to be busy with? I understand that trucking isn't all that they do. I
well,
totally
actually,
get
the
that,
new
but-
truck really is helpful there because it is a smaller truck. But it's big enough to be able to do some of the smaller roads.
And it's a
plow it.
small truck, just like a Ford F-650, but maybe not a Ford F-650, right? One like that.
Right, so
Right.
then it'll be used to do the smaller roads without.
And the cul-de-sacs a little better.
Okay, all these questions haven't helped me come to a decision. But I do feel more clear about what we're deciding. I guess my challenge is that we specifically asked Jacob and we did decide, it's true yesterday, that we were gonna do with what Jacob said.
Even though we have never had a budget increase that much, but
In retrospect, I can tell you that I was thinking he was gonna say, no, we're okay with 5. I didn't realize that, and I didn't, but I down was like, oh, I fully expect, we're not,
Yeah,
it's fine, I
I
was
think- I
fully
think you're right.
expecting him to be saying.
I think in the back of my head, I was like, what, he's gonna come back and then we're just gonna go with it.
the exclamation, the whole sentence in exclamation points is this was a signal that that was not correct.
Well, I just wanted to make sure you saw it. I put in the bottom, like, just make sure that everybody knows that sixth worker was not included in, I just wanted to make sure everybody knew it on that.
Yeah, that was not ideal.
Right.
I guess I would propose this. Make sure Jacob understands that we support him, and I even support his decision about the sixth person. For the sake of this budget and for the sake of getting it to pass. And I said this last night, and I'll probably say it again at TMRI, but I think the budget passing is, if the budget were to fail, it would be a reflection on us as a board, and it would be a really, I think, a really bad mark on TMRI. And I think,
We know what that.
I think that a successful budget passing is gonna be hard, not to diminish any of the work that's gone into it, but I mean, I think history is gonna look at it as, well, hey, look, they tried TMRI and it failed. You know?
Right. Sure.
And I don't expect it's gonna fail, but I also wanna make sure that we're putting out a budget that passes. So I
Mhm.
think we should remove it, and we tell Jacob, if you need 6, then we'll overspend in our budget and we'll make sure it goes back in next year and all that, and just say, the main reason for removing it is just because of our history of the last 4 years. We've spent very little time with 6 highway people.
Well, and because this is the first Australian ballot, we did it during COVID, but that's because there was no town meeting.
Right.
So this is the first of the new kind, and
And
you
unfortunately
just
for,
never know how it's gonna be accepted, because like last year with the school taxes, there was a lot of reasons why we,
right,
took almost $200,000 out of the highway budget.
right.
And so this year, their numbers are smaller, but it's building on the huge increase from last year. And then again, if we have this huge increase, just look at the number, that makes people nervous.
And you also
Right.
gotta explain the 10.2% of that is the bond, just the bond
So
itself.
do we need a motion to do this? or
No.
just Direct
Nope,
call.
we're still working, I think we're still working, and then the motion will be
When we
when
accept
it goes out.
Mhm.
So that's what I would propose. I'd also be
So
fine
you're
with
you're
doing
gonna-
it 20, and then that way when he's coming back, and I'd really go along with any of the 3. We put it in because that's what he said. We remove it because that's what we've always had, or we meet halfway and we do the 20. And then if he were to come and say, look, I know you budgeted for a part-time, but here's how busy we are. We need a 6th guy and I need a full-time. And then we have that discussion and we figure it out.
Mhm.
I'm fine with any of those 3 now that I've talked all this stuff.
So,
I think the halfway is, and I'm flip-flopping around down here as you're talking, Eric, I think the halfway, given that we said, do you really need it? And he said, yeah. Well, why'd you ask him that? You're not gonna give it to me.
Right.
So I would advocate for the halfway mark.
And
And then,
we shoot for a
And I think-
part-time, and if part-time doesn't work out and summer comes along and life's changed a lot since then, and we figure out, we gotta figure out.
and I think we should either, I don't know who the appropriate person is, but either we or Paula needs to kind of sit down with Jacob and say, so just talk to me about your 5 guys
Sure,
versus 6
sure.
guys. What does the 6th guy do for you? How have
Yep.
you been doing without it?
Yep.
Why is the town seems fine. If you're drowning, why don't we know that already? Just.
well, Paula's, I would think, is the one, because she's in charge of it.
supervisor, Right.
Plus the other fact that Paula has worked with the
She's real
road
good
crew
with those
forever.
highway guys.
Yeah.
Yes, she goes in there like, what's in here?
And they listen.
They do.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyway, I.
Okay,
Well,
I'll
that
do
gets
that.
you below the 20 anyway.
Mhm.
Yeah, right, if that doesn't start with a 2, it just feels a little bit better.
Okay,
All right, so anyway, moving on.
So assuming I did it right, just for that makes the the cell that's currently up there that says 632.
Yep.
That says now 591, 237,
Mm-hmm.
and the percentage is 19.8408.
Right. So now it's like a little less than, well, 9%.
Right.
Because
9%,
like, again, it would be,
9.6%.
it's best to make sure that people know that that bond was voted on and 10% of that change is
We can
that
make very
bond.
Clear both
Yeah.
at the meeting
Mm-hmm,
Thursday and.
mm-hmm.
And all the-
Failing somehow, because like I'm telling you, I run into people who
Don't
don't pay them, they
Right.
don't even remember there was a bond last year.
Right,
They don't,
right,
you know,
right.
They're busy, they're not thinking about this stuff.
Tom has his hand up. Okay.
Tom.
Go ahead, Tom.
Just a quick question, and maybe I should be deferred to next Thursday's public meeting, but where does the ash tree management plan budget fit into this discussion? I was on the impression that when we were talking about the town rights of way, that some of the problem trees are actually not that much of a hazard for a semi-skilled road crewman to deal with. And is the sixth person strictly a fallback on severe winter conditions, or would we be talking about a part-time staffer for all 52 weeks of the year? And how would that play into taking care of this emerald ash borer problem? Thanks.
My take is it's a all year thing.
Yeah. Has to be.
Depending on when we can hire him and whatever, or her. And I don't know how this particular role plays against the ash tree thing, but we had absolutely all talked about utilizing the road crew to take down some of those trees. So in effect, yeah, that person would go towards.
And that was for fiscal year 2026. And that was, we didn't put any other money in because Sabina was looking for grants and stuff for other things. So, but for 2026, the ash was going to be taken care of with the road crew.
Or the road, yeah.
And we're gonna see how that works out, and if it's like, wow, they just didn't have time for that, then we need to have a different plan of attack, and hopefully Sabina can also get grants to help with that.
Sounds good. All right, so that's
Sabina has-
that was my big thing for the budget, so, sorry.
Sabina has a question. Go ahead, Sabina.
Hi, no, I actually just want to address that comment because it's true. I did say I was going to look into it, and I have subsequently learned that the ash tree funding from the state has dried up. So I
Wow.
don't think that there will be future grant opportunities for us to deal with
Wow.
the trees. And Don, Toby, and I looked into another grant being offered, but we didn't really meet the general criteria for that grant, so that was also a lost opportunity. I mean, we didn't apply, we just read the background information, and it didn't seem like we would make the cut. So bottom line is, we'll keep looking, but the money that we thought was still around is not.
Okay, thank you very much, Sabina.
You're welcome.
For 2026, we're gonna just stick with the road crew.
Yep.
Thank you.
Okay. I think the easiest way is just to just do the headlines and then the total on each one, and then if there's anything.
So you're the legal thing, do we have to go through the budget right now, or is the budget right now just for the three of us to be like, yep, we're done?
Well,
Or
if
do
you
we-
feel
or
we're
do-
done, we're done.
No, I'm not advocating, I'm just saying, but what we have, like, is this like a public hearing where you have to
Oh,
be
no,
going
no,
through everybody, or this is just us saying?
This is
This is
what's left for us to
finalizing it.
finish up?
We're just finalizing because we've had a budget discussion every.
Yeah, right. I feel like the only thing left out there is what we need to discuss in executive session, which is the healthcare piece for personnel.
Yeah.
That's, I feel like other than that,
So so do we need a motion tonight to send the budget on, and that motion has to happen that discussion has to happen in the executive session.
We could come out, we could just come out of it. I'm
We
not.
can come out of executive session.
And make a
okay.
motion then.
Because this
No.
budget,
No,
Now?
no.
Okay.
this budget will need to be posted tomorrow, right, with the capital budget, this budget.
If we do change something because of personnel in executive session, you come out of
Mhm.
executive session and you say, well, I make a motion to change the, the benefits line. or
By
X-
whatever.
By whatever.
And do we have to turn all the cameras back on for that, or how does that work?
Well, something has to be recorded, at least by Zoom or something.
Okay.
It has to be a recorded session. I mean, because Zoom counts.
So we just pause recording, but don't stop it. Pause recording, we have the conversation,
Mhm.
unpause it, then come out of the meeting section, make the
Mhm.
motion.
Mhm.
And the motion's not gonna be a number, it's gonna be,
Right,
take these two actions and that's our final budget, or that's our version of the
Exactly.
draft budget, and then Paul will calculate it out tomorrow morning.
Right.
With Amy and Brian, and then that.
And that's what will be
that'll published
posted.
Tomorrow.
And that will be posted and that will be the budget discussed at our new town meeting reunion on the 23rd at 6 p.m.
Okay, so other than that, we don't have any public discussion left in the budget. We're good. other than
Unless
those.
people have, somebody had a question.
Okay.
That's the only thing.
And right, oh, sorry, Paul,
There's-
and Paul, just to remind me.
Yep.
Those full stipends are in the budget right now.
Yes.
The budget I'm looking at.
yes.
Yes, Jim, you had your hand up.
With all these things flying back and forth about things like wastewater, big wastewater study and all these other things. I've been building wastewater systems for 50 years, and frankly, I'm confused. During the wastewater study period, we advocated repeatedly that the Rivers' property and the school property be considered for the construction of specific wastewater systems, and the fact the range was looking for wastewater and had municipal water available. And as we're doing all this budgeting, I'm not hearing that low hanging fruit.
The range has done its own studies for wastewater. That's solved their problem.
Oh, that's news.
Yes.
I was hoping they wouldn't discover that they had 13,000 acres of land and didn't need ours. So what you're
Yeah,
saying.
you'd hope, would you? Yes.
So, but going to a key point, 18 months, there's an exemption to Act 250 for projects that offer municipal water and municipal sewer.
There's also the exemption for 50 units to be built in village centers without Act 250 with just water.
Okay, is Jericho Center a village center?
Yes,
Okay, so if we were designing a small scale land-based system to benefit Jericho Center on the Rivers' property.
we do not own the
No.
rivers party.
It
We don't
doesn't
have-
matter who owns it, that's as simple as
It does
writing
matter.
an easement
Yeah.
and an authorization to obtain it. That getting an easement from the fire department or an easement from the school district is as simple as making an ask. I've heard all of these excuses.
Well, thank you
But I agree, and I really hope that you will bring those same concerns to the fire department.
Mhm.
Yeah, because at this moment, they're assessing what they're going to do. Yes, but we haven't hit that's what the planning commission will be looking at this year, focusing on wastewater and different.
Wastewater, municipal water.
We're all
Jericho
talking
Center.
about our need for housing, and there is low hanging fruit, and you're also doing the fire department's budget. And the fire department owns an asset that's not consistent with the mission of the fire department that was donated to them 28 years ago. by $100.
That's between you and the fire department. That's enough, Jim. I mean, we have to,
We gotta move on.
I'm sorry. I mean, we all would
It's
like that.
frustrating for sure.
It's very frustrating because there were multiple committees that tried to work for that, but we couldn't get it to happen. All right, where are we? The budget
We're gonna not be able to make a,
until after, okay.
Right.
Now, we have to review, the other thing we have to do, Okay, that is it.
And Gay is here to give like a little
Well,
update,
that's good.
too, on this town meeting reimagined if she's available.
Yes. Let's talk about that, because that,
And then going through the official warning if you,
right, because we need to, that's what they're gonna run their meeting by.
Yep.
is the warning.
So what we have on this agenda though is letter from the planning commission. Do we?
that was the one that we discussed earlier with the $100,000
Well, that was one
piece of it.
bullet of it. Were we talking about the whole letter or we were just acknowledging that we got the letter?
Well, I'd be
Like,
happy to offer a little bit.
Yeah.
He's on the
Sure, go
agenda.
ahead.
He's
Yeah,
here, so-
absolutely.
Should we do that now?
Yeah,
Okay, sure.
Yeah, 'cause
absolutely.
that's- Sorry, we were talking about the budget recommendations.
Yep.
We were talking about our budget review, and this puts it on the record.
Okay, Chris Brown from the Planning Commission. So just for a quick overview, these recommendations in the letter are based on our new town plan, which prioritizes the development of new housing and vibrant village centers. And a vibrant village center would be a walkable community with a variety of mixed-use development, which include housing opportunities and business opportunities. Municipal infrastructure is essential for these goals. The 90% report that was just released recently from the wastewater feasibility study has identified 3 priorities for municipal infrastructure in town: wastewater in Riverside, wastewater and municipal water in Jericho Center. A municipal wastewater system in Riverside would create the opportunity for the largest single development area in any of our village centers. And in addition to that, there are private developers ready and committed to working there as soon as we have some municipal infrastructure. And municipal water in Jericho Center is essential both for fire protection and clean drinking water. And we've been hearing these concerns for years. So the PC, the Planning Commission, has reviewed the 90% report and agrees with their priorities. At the same time, I want to make it clear that we have also over the years heard from many people about other infrastructure needs in the town, and I want to be clear that we've heard those. But we also recognize that we can't do them all at once, and so we need to prioritize. And so we support the priorities discussed above. And really feel like the wastewater system in Riverside would give the biggest return for the community as a whole. For initial priority, and the municipal water in Jericho Center is a critical need. So the Planning Commission is continuing to work on zoning amendment to support these goals as the wastewater process moves ahead. So we have over the past few weeks, but we've learned a lot about how the wastewater process could unfold. And that's led to these recommendations with sort of discrete actionable items and, the deadlines as we know them. And I'd be happy to talk about those more if you want.
Why don't you just enumerate them for the public?
Sure.
Your
So,
bullet points.
sure. So
Priorities.
we're asking for an allocation of $100,000 in the fiscal year 26 budget, which would continue the work on the Riverside wastewater project. There's going to be a lot of work that would go into that, the next stage of that, which would include a variety of funding, pursuing a variety of funding options, research and costs and legal fees to secure disposal sites, and devise governance, an income survey to determine eligibility for state grants and subsidies, and any other anticipated costs. So we don't know exactly how much of that we'll need to spend, but we would like it dedicated. And if we don't use it, we can roll it forward into future uses, needs for this project. So the second item is to apply to the Clean Water Reserve Fund by the February 14th deadline. That would get the Riverside wastewater system listed on their priority project list, which is essential for raising the project, making the state aware that we're doing this project and getting it in their queue for available funding going forward. We would like you to request that Du Bois and King prepare a draft engineering service agreement to prepare the preliminary engineer report for the next step of this work. And we would like you to establish a wastewater committee. And this I think is fundamentally important to the success of this project. There's just a tremendous amount of work to be done. And the wastewater committee has been very successful in other communities who have successfully gone through this process. And we think it would be ideal if, so we think that the wastewater committee should include somebody from the select board, one or two people from the planning commission, any other town staff that would be appropriate, and then maybe community members or people from somebody from Underhill. We think it would be ideal if the select board member were to chair the committee as a signal of your support for this endeavor, and to show leadership to the community for it. And then we would like to just, the final sort of priority action item is to reach out to other potential partners, which could include Underhill, the fire department, the firing range, et cetera, to consider options for extending municipal water to Jericho. So that's those are the high actions, high priority items. And I just,
And I wish the RPC is going to be able to help you with.
yeah, so for example, I did attend a Vermont League of Cities and Towns session this week, and among the important takeaways from that was they really stressed the need to have a dedicated project manager, which just, not only to help the project move smoothly, but also because many funding sources really look to see that you have that
As a marker of.
as a marker of
Mhm.
seriousness and commitment, and as a marker of organization.
And would the one on loan, I'm calling them on, from the CCRPC, would that count?
I
Or
think
you
that
think-
would count.
Okay.
That's what Chris Shaheen and I are thinking right now.
Okay.
Yeah. And I also, for example, learned at this session, I have a list of up to 13 possible funding sources, all with different application dates that could help funding for this. So I'm not saying that we would be eligible for all of them, but that alone represents a lot of work to coordinate.
Just to apply.
Just to apply and make sure you do it in the, in the right sequence and in a timely manner. And VLCT is available to help us coordinate that. We can reach out and get a one-on-one session with them, and they can give us a point person to help us. Because that alone is a lot of work, let alone the community outreach and
Right,
there's just a lot of work.
all the pieces are big pieces.
All the pieces. And so I think that, yeah, I just really want to stress the wastewater committee. I think it's going to be essential to moving this forward.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree with what Peter was saying before the meeting, that this letter is like the type of thing that would,
It's
but I think it's
nice.
gonna really help us in the future, that kind of communication, like, hey, guys, we did this.
Right.
We did the plan,
Right.
here are the steps we're looking for you to take.
It's nice to
And
see
it's
a
nice and
trail,
clear and.
Yes, well,
some sort of trail that.
I disagree with every bullet.
Well, and I really want to give credit to Chris Shaheen. He's done a lot of work on this in the past couple of weeks just to really help move this forward. And
He's really stepped up.
You guys have we all have a pass the buck, on compliments. No, I don't deserve anything, it's this guy. Thank you all. I have one question, which is, on the first page, the second paragraph has a target completion date of 2029, which is thrilling.
yeah, so among the early things that we would encourage the wastewater committee to do is to establish a project schedule, which would clearly be a working document because we're guessing right now. But I think it would be great if the community as a whole could see a schedule and say, okay, here's the plan, and this is what we're anticipating for a completion date. And then people who are interested, like some of these developers could say, okay, I get it, now I can
This is actually
understand.
happening and.
It's actually gonna happen, and I can understand when, and I can make my plans accordingly, and so. You know, we picked a date, I don't know that that's gonna be the case, but I think the idea of having a schedule. And publishing the schedule would be really helpful. So,
Yeah,
you
I
talk
did know,
about-
I can't seem to find the letter now.
I couldn't find it
I read
either, that's.
I read it before and I noticed.
Yeah.
it.
Mhm.
Paper, you have this paper. Wait
Oh, I did.
wait a second, in terms of, the, committee and stuff. You also mentioned, community members, and do you foresee, being able to use some of the skill sets that some of our community members do have within.
I do, I think that's a great part of having, knowledgeable community members, absolutely. And I think this is gonna require a lot of, public outreach and advocacy for this project to
Oh,
succeed.
absolutely.
A lot of
Mm.
skills
So-
beyond just like
Mm.
wastewater and engineering.
For sure, for sure.
Marketing.
Marketing, and I would encourage everyone to look at the town of Wakefield's website, where they have, a very, just super impressive, page dedicated to their wastewater system, and they just passed their bond this summer.
Yeah, it was a long time coming, because it went off and on for 10 years.
But they're,
But when they got to that website,
it's a real model of how to communicate, the project to the community, I think. So,
well, thank you, Chris, for putting this,
Mhm.
planning commission as well as putting together. And then I think it was important to put it in the minutes as well as.
Mhm.
Yeah.
excellent.
Absolutely, yep,
Thanks.
Great.
thank
Appreciate
you.
your support.
Thank you. All right, now, John.
Yeah, this was an extraordinary piece of work. Earlier, when you were doing the budget, you described the wastewater work as being planning commission work. And I fundamentally believe that's a misreading of this proposal. Planning commission had its own work. I mean, Tetro gave 4 pages of zoning obstacles to doing that project in Riverside over 5 years ago. None of them have been changed yet. Planning
If it was
commission
me, I
had-
misspoke. I meant, you're right. It is
The
a town,
planning
it's a
commission
town priority.
has its
and-
own work. And what they're proposing here is that the town select board leads this wastewater committee. And the planning commission has very talented members that you could select to be on that committee. But this is not an item that should be on the planning commission agenda. This is a town-led, select board-led thing. We've been on committees where the select board was not leading, and we've had wastewater committees that weren't led by the select board that didn't go anywhere. And I think, which, to me, one of the most critical parts of this is the select board leadership that they're asking for, and they're offering their help to your work. I think there's plenty of other people in the committee who will support that leadership.
Thank you, John.
Wait, thank you.
Okay, now.
Now do we have to now we have to review the,
Town meeting warning, but we were gonna talk to.
Yay.
Jay.
town meeting reimagine warning or the town?
Town meeting reimagined warning.
Legally, it's just a select board.
But we are going to use the format of the town meeting warning, because we also have to eventually do an official town meeting warning anyway.
I got that one. I got the town meeting official warning for the book. That one. I've got that one all done.
I have marked up notes for, we had a meeting, the task force had a meeting tonight, actually finished in time for me to come. And, I have various notes, tell the select board this, ask the select board that. I have those kinds of things. But I'm also here to answer any questions you may have. Do you want me to dive in, or do you wanna?
Go for it. Let's answer our questions first if we can.
The first question is, are you coming? You haven't signed up.
What?
You want dinner? You gotta sign up. Yeah.
That's for Dan.
Okay.
I will be, I forget the timing of everything,
5 is dinner, 6 is the meeting.
no, of other things that are happening in the school at the same time, so I will be at the basketball game until so I don't know that I'll do the dinner thing, but I will go to the basketball game and then
Okay.
come over.
We're on a real roll to just really try to emphasize to people they need to sign up, especially for dinner. If people, just so you know, they will, the Lions Club, no, Masons is cooking, Lions is helping serve. The Masons will be buying the food and getting ready like Wednesday.
Okay.
We're gonna give them the numbers.
Mm.
And they'll push it like by 10%, but they can't accommodate everybody.
Mhm.
So, if people show up who haven't signed up, they're gonna ask them to wait till 5:30, so
Mhm.
that they have time, they let
And
in
they'll have a
people
roster,
who
they'll
did
have a-
sign up, and then we'll have a roster. But if you do have the opportunity, if you see people and they say, oh, coming, nudge them to say, please sign up. It also helps to sign, it's all in one thing, you sign up for the meeting and and dinner. And it's a bit, you know, so far, I think we have 36 people who've signed up for the meeting, a third of them on Zoom. So
Wow,
that's helpful information.
that is.
And in terms of our planning, because we have people who are gonna be monitoring and counting, you know, just the folks on Zoom.
Yeah.
So, and they're gonna have a dry run tomorrow on the tech at the high school. So,
Great.
it really does matter, just if anything you can do to help.
We're working on a post on Front Porch Forum, and the very end of that post is, here's a link for more information, here's a link to sign up, we need a head count.
Yeah, thanks. I'm doing one too.
Well, I think it's good to just have.
No, we have a
Bombard.
spreadsheet.
Yeah.
One a day.
Yeah.
The more, so yeah, okay. One question, we assume you will have some kind of slides. If that's the case, can I email somebody, a couple of people to email them to ahead of time so we can get them into the system so the people on Zoom can easily see
Yeah,
them?
I forget, but behind us, in the regular town meetings, we've had the screen behind us where the budget has been projected. So that's not really slides,
Well, whatever format it's in,
because, you know,
Well,
that's what we
I
did
think
the
we
last.
should have a slide, I think we need to have, I mean,
Not
that's
a
something
projection.
that's what we need to talk about tonight, is how we're gonna present
Yeah.
the information. We
Yeah.
can't be doing a line by line thing, it'll be different.
Right.
No,
So
yeah.
I just,
Yes.
so I've been thinking about
We
this. I
usually
think that
have
we
the
need-
budget behind us so that people in my audience can see it on the screen, but
Mhm.
it's really just what you're doing here.
Mhm.
well, it's
I think-
both, you can
I
have.
think we need to have some slides ahead of time that sort of outline a whole bunch of things, like kind of very briefly, how did we get here? Very briefly, what is happening right now?
Okay.
Very briefly, how is this gonna work? And then now let's go to the budget, and the budget is this, we have some big bullet points around the budget.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about-
So Gay, do you have,
Actually, just
do you
do the-
have something like that?
We
Like
yesterday, just do
the slides, like how
the-
TMR is gonna work and stuff like that, or is that what you're asking?
Then hit the highlight. You can get
I don't have those slides.
Mm-hmm.
I think, well, I'm sure somebody could help.
Oh, yeah,
But-
we could definitely come up with something if we wanna,
Yeah,
if
we
you wanna
haven't done-
email me, kind of go
Uh,
back and forth of like what,
What do you
maybe
guys
what
want
we,
to-
the slides, like I was just asking her, do you want, are the slides like, maybe like a PowerPoint? And is it basically like what you just said, here's what we're doing, here's where we're at, is that what she was asking?
I don't know that I want to slidify the budget.
Right.
I agree, like, welcome, blah, 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 here's how it's gonna work, but like the budget is gotta be just like what we're doing. And I think the thing that you're gonna send out is you're gonna send them to the town website, which is gonna have the budget for everybody to consume. I don't wanna break it out into like, okay, here's a slide on highway, and then here's like, I don't wanna do that. I wanna be driving the real live spreadsheet.
Right.
All I'm asking is that whatever is up, we need to also let the people on Zoom see that. And we don't want them to be having to just see see it like they're seeing the camera.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
you're
so
asking
I
for like
think
an SD, like a thumb drive. that we has the budget, right?
No,
You can send it to.
you're gonna send
Okay.
it to the website and you're gonna say,
Yeah,
to follow along.
here's where it
click here.
is.
We have to approve it tonight.
Yeah,
Once we modify it tonight, it will go to the website tomorrow and the budget will be there. And so I think what you wanna do is send people there, go.
Temporarily.
They're on Zoom.
But
We can
also-
share screen. If I can send them the budget, if I can, if
If they're on
Angelica-
Zoom, wouldn't it be just like a regular, so like we just did tonight, people are on Zoom
Yes.
could see the budget?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Gay is saying, whatever documents you want to present to the public, it'd be great to have them ahead of time.
That's all. That's all that.
But I think you're
After
saying
all
the same
that.
thing. It's gonna be the thing on the website.
It's our website.
I mean, but
Except that right now, what Paul is showing us is not on the website.
But that will tomorrow.
But what we're doing tonight is taking it from here.
No, I
and
understand
moving
that,
it to the
but I
website.
think
But
that
it's still gonna be on her laptop show at the.
I'll send you the Excel budget.
Yeah, I think
That's all you're asking.
that's what they need.
Just budget,
Got it.
just
Yes,
budget.
this is what I'm gonna send to her, is this.
A
What I
soft
just
copy
did.
of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing that would be useful, it could be on the website.
Well, hold on, this is right now.
But I was also gonna say, this frequently asked question. You know, what is the tax increase? What does it mean?
Oh, yeah, I like that.
You know, and.
whatever, it's your choice.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you put something together and you're gonna have it up, if all that could get to, and it isn't me, but I will
Right, but to
communicate that
somebody.
to Paula. That would
Yeah.
be great.
And I'm sort of yelling at you.
I think what Gay's trying to say is, you can't be looking on the town website on your computer at the same time as participating in the Zoom meeting,
Right.
or you need two computers, and if everybody's gonna need two computers, you better tell them they need two computers, or put all the stuff in one place.
Right, which is why, you know, we have it behind us usually at the town meeting.
Yeah, but that makes me less follow along even less. Then why do they need it ahead of time if they're watching it on Zoom?
What
But
are
then
the,
they need to
The
look
meeting-
at it
they're
just
in
like
the
they.
Zoom
they-
meeting.
Yeah,
They're in the Zoom meeting,
correct,
so they need their computer to be on the Zoom meeting.
correct.
To vote.
So they cannot also be then checking the website. That's
Oh,
confusing.
you're gonna print something out hard copy?
Oh,
No, no.
On
they're gonna-
Zoom, we can share the budget,
Yes.
that's all. And the person who's sharing the budget just needs a copy of it. I think
Oh,
we got,
you're running the Zoom and we're not?
yeah,
Right.
we're on the road.
Paul's running the Zoom. Okay, so.
I'm not sitting- I'm not
Zoom
sitting
if you
up
need
there.
someone there.
Oh, no, you
But
gotta
aren't
set
we-
up.
but-
Oh, no,
Administrator always sits up at the.
no, it's changing.
Town administrator, we turn to, Paula.
No.
Derek, what's your question?
I think this is.
I thought the town, that's what I thought was gonna happen. That's what's happened every other year.
Right, but we haven't been on Zoom before. And so we can't just point.
But it's been the same thing. We've had
Right,
we've had
let me
the
just-
TV
let me
behind
just-
us.
We can't just point the camera at the TV behind it. You can see it well enough, right, Zoom people, because they can't. So as we have it up here and we're scrolling around and talking about line 274, someone on Zoom who's not us and not Paula is gonna be moving that.
No, I think he gets that, but I think that I agree with Eric's question. And I think that actually, I'm not sure, as confident of the answer to the question as everybody else is. But the question is someone, if Angelica who happens to live in Jericho, is our head tech person. She's been on the
Yep.
task force since the beginning. She's handling all this and
Yep.
doing the tech test tomorrow. So I think what I'll do is connect Paula and Angelica.
Yeah.
And they can figure this out, rather than people with hair the color of mine trying to
For mine,
figure this out. So,
I am not
I
about
get
to
what
do
you're
this.
saying. Yeah, I'm sorry it took so long to get here, but I think I don't think we're
Couple
on
on
the same
different-
page
yeah,
of how it's
different
gonna work.
pages.
I think
but because this is Zoom,
this is
you're
Zoom.
doing a meeting by
I think
Zoom.
it's gonna be exactly
it's
like
a
Paula
legitimate
was just
question.
doing with the budget.
With sharing the
Describing through
budget.
And we're gonna be like, hey, what about that one? And someone's gonna move back up to it, and it's gonna move for the people who are at home watching on Zoom, and it's gonna move behind us for the people sitting in there, and they're all.
Yes, but the difference is, they will vote.
Right, so
There will
then, so
be
then at some
times when
point,
they vote,
so
and
let
they will be on camera. The way that people will vote is we're not gonna use the little vote
that's smart. I think
digital
that's very
things, 'cause I
smart.
think, and for in deference to the old people, we're gonna,
Yep.
you know, we're trying to do the same for both in the room and on Zoom is we'll have two levels. So Dave will, the moderator will say, are we ready to vote? All those in favor, raise your hand, and he'll take a look, not count, but take a look. And rather than say all those in
Say
favor,
aye.
say aye, because seeing aye doesn't work online because of,
Unmute
breaking
and
up.
time limit.
so both, and we will have counters watching the folks who are online. So that we can, you know, take a general look.
The
If it
people in the
is,
audience are also gonna then raise their hands then rather than I, so that
that's
there's,
right.
so there's not two different.
Right,
kinds of
and
things.
if it isn't obvious, then he will say, okay, keep your hands up, we're gonna count the division.
Right,
But-
So that's the way it's different, but I agree with Eric. I'm not as confident that I don't think of this as a separate thing. It's the towns that set up the website for the use of the meeting. And so I just think it's gotta get worked out between you and Echo.
well, I also think the website right now, why it has to go to the website, is that's the equivalent of the town report, because the folks coming for TMRI are not gonna have a town report where you come to the meeting and you've got your round report in front of you to.
Right.
You know, it's going to the
That's what-
website either way, yeah,
It's
absolutely.
going to the website either way. It's going to the website tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tomorrow.
Exactly.
So, that's not the issue. It's at the meeting itself, how will people be able to follow along?
So. Gay and Eric, what I think I hear you saying is that behind us on the big screen where the budget always is, that's gonna be where the Zoom meeting is. And all the Zoom, okay, that's what I'm confused about,
That will be where the budget is.
right? But
Or
Eric,
people in the room, I guess.
but Eric said like, well, no, it's just like it's gonna do, we're all looking at the thing here, it's right here, that's what, well, that. At town meeting is behind us.
Exactly. That's
So-
what I think needs to that's what I think is gonna happen. I think in town meeting, behind us is gonna look exactly like,
Like that is what we put the budget on.
Where's Ben?
it's gonna look, it's gonna look exactly like
Who was
that.
that?
That's what it's gonna look like. It's gonna look like that in the meeting. There'll be three fools nervous sitting in front of that thing. That'll be 14 times the size of that. And we'll be like going through. and
Three
like,
fools.
Hey, but
Three
is that what you
fools.
think?
No,
Right.
is there any way we could not work this out now? And Because there are.
Is there
The one
any
thing we heard from other towns who have done this is it is really, it's fine when you have the budget up like that. And everybody's really watching the budget. But like, I can see Beth
But-
Esmond.
But you can't see Sabina, you can't see Tom. Right.
And it's, what we've been told is you having people sort of appear in this, from this remote space into the space can be very distracting, and they recommended not doing that.
So in other
Wait,
words,
let Dave finish. We just keep all sort of cutting each other off. We need to just be
I-
clear on our
I,
communication.
that's the only thing I'm confused about, Eric, is now, yes, I would agree with you. This mostly looks like everybody could be looking at the same thing, but when it isn't having something in a shared screen like this, then you have, as was the case before you put this up, you had those people. And we need to see the people, I know why. We need to see all those people to be able to count when they're voting. So we have to somehow separate what we're looking at in terms of the budget from the.
I don't
this
know
is
how
what I
that's
would
gonna
do.
happen.
So this is what I would do when it's time to vote. I would go like this. No, I'm not sharing because of that. I see what you're saying. If I change my share,
That's what Beth is saying too. We would just stop screen sharing.
you don't even need to, so like,
I really,
can someone do me a favor? Can Heidi and Paula raise your hands in Zoom? You can't see it, but I can see it here. I can,
Paul has to raise her hand.
right? So what I would do is I would go to this list. I would go to this list and you go right down through and you say, okay. there's
Oh, I
four-
see, yeah, on the
there's
side.
400
Mhm,
people on
mhm,
Zoom.
mhm.
Click on participants.
And you can't use the little.
No,
icon.
no.
Oh, sorry.
So you'd go down through.
Yep, and you'd
say,
see 'em
okay,
all.
There's One hand, two,
No,
three.
no,
No, but
they're
see,
not
you're
using the yellow hands.
redesigning everything that
Right.
our committee has
Right.
been talking through and learning from other towns.
Right.
Old
It is-
people don't understand, my generation meaning. Baby boomers and I think the folks one generation younger. They really struggle with this hand thing.
Okay,
So
but
the,
they're on Zoom?
that floating
Yes.
hand like
Yeah, I
height.
just spoke by Zoom like this to the RPC, raise your hand.
Oh, so you're looking to
So
see the
people
physical
are gonna
hand.
physically raise
Raise
their
their own
hand.
hand in the air.
And we wanna know how many, like, husband and wife, wife and wife, whatever, it could be. There could be two people in the Zoom box. You won't see that with one of those mechanical things, digital things. We need to be counting votes of humans. We also wanna make sure they are people and that they're Jericho.
That's right,
So
Jericho
we
residents.
want to see people and not have people do what Heidi was just doing, which was have just her name and a hand.
Gotcha, you're right, okay.
Plus it could be a couple screens worth of people.
Right,
They may not all fit on one.
So let me say this. I personally, for myself, am feeling anxious about this going well. It's hard for me to say, okay, like to not understand every single thing of it down to the wire and who's gonna press what button, how's it all gonna work. I also fully recognize that our desire to understand all this is making us invent things that you've already talked about and say that's not gonna work, and we're sort of rehashing all this stuff. Myself, in an attempt to get my head around the entire thing, I feel like we need to back up and sort of answer the questions you want us to answer.
Yeah.
And let you do it the way you're gonna do it.
That's
That's
right.
my personal feeling.
Well, I think that the first answer is yes, there will be some kind of slides. You do want people to be able to see the budget. And we can easily communicate between Paula and Angelica to get that document, the spreadsheet to her, so she has it. And then, in terms of how we manage this at the meeting.
I like the dog.
Me too.
What?
We like the dog. See, look at the ears.
Very distracting.
Yeah, I don't know, I wish I knew exactly what time they're gonna be at the high school tomorrow. I don't know if it's possible for you to be there with them, but I could ask something.
I can check with her tomorrow and find out, find out what she's looking for.
Yeah,
And I mean, she'll know. And if it's, whether it's a PDF of just the draft, what we have here, can certainly do that.
I do think we're gonna have something be able to project. The budget onto, for people in the room
Right,
in a separate way from the Zoom participants.
Mhm.
Because we don't want to have the Zoom, I think going back and forth between having the Zoom participants and the budget for a number of reasons is not gonna be, that's gonna be problematic. I'm just not smart enough to fix it now. And if Beth could,
Okay, can you just, Beth, can you just unmute and talk to us?
do you follow this, Beth, and do you?
Yeah, I do. So someone's got to run the Zoom and share a screen with the budget on it. It could be Paula, it could be Angeliki, or any of Angeliki's people, minions. But I do think someone's going to have to share a screen with the budget on it. And then when we get to a vote, stop screen sharing and then watch for hands. I think that's
Yep.
the best way to do it. I get what they're saying, because you don't want someone is
One
running
person
it.
driving it and.
Right.
Yeah.
For the
Right.
Zoom, and
And
another
two
person
different,
driving it
yes.
For the room, it's gonna be
Yep.
like, oh, he moved, that would be.
Right.
But I think
Yeah.
what
But we were thinking we were going to drive it, but like,
oh, yeah, you can, I don't care.
I think.
yeah, but Paula could, I mean, yeah.
I also don't think that we want to avoid having this kind of screen
Behind
in
us,
front of, behind you.
Auditorium.
That's what that is what we heard from Middlesex is quite distracting. And,
Well, it's not showing the budget.
well, no, it's because it's just distracting. It's people and their home
Right,
environments.
that's what I mean, like, you want the screen behind you only showing the budget, not showing the
Yes.
Zoom boxes.
Right.
Mhm.
Because all those people fit, but
Right.
probably for town meeting reimagined, they won't all fit.
Right.
You know, several screens full, you have to be scrolling back and forth to count hands and.
Yeah, that's why we'd have to stop screen sharing in order to count the votes.
Yeah, with multiple screens, that makes sense. Cause that's the only way. Even
Okay, I will try to, do you already have Angelika's email?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, she's the queen of the tech on the town meeting reimagined, so.
Okay.
I have a question. When do I have to bring the cookies?
Before 5,
Before 5.
there'll be a table specifically for cookies.
Okay. Yeah, we're trying to back and forth whether we need to go to dinner, whether, how we're gonna juggle it with the, you know, other things at home.
Well, I also know there are a lot of people bringing cookies. I have pointed out that we, you know, that this is the kind of town where the person who's in charge of putting the budget together is also bringing cookies. So, but, yeah, you shouldn't feel obligated to be the main cookie cooker.
Well, I have, as people in town staff can confer, I baked a lot of Christmas cookies and have still at the freezer yet.
Okay.
This year was less than normal. It was only 197 dozen.
Oh,
197 dozen cookies.
Yes. Normally, it's usually, the lowest is before that, it's been 212 dozen. Normally, it's about 250 dozen.
And it's not just 3 different kinds, it's like,
I will get them there before 5,
okay,
out of the freezer.
great.
So they be caught.
The next question is, we are assuming that you all will be taking notes?
I do have a minute taker,
Oh,
yes.
good.
And then the last question is that. Oh, well, this is 2 different questions related to the same thing. You may have noticed today on Front Porch Forum, Robert DeVos has asked a question, which others have heard also, which has to do with moving to 5-member select board. The number of signatures that were collected is 300 and something, so not the full number that will automatically lead to having a vote. Is it possible for the select board to put a thing together? That's his question, and then the other question part of his question was, well, anyway,
The
I'm
only way it can be done, the only way is 15% of the voters. We talked to 2 lawyers, there's no other way, nothing else can
so
happen.
just as a heads up, could somebody just answer him on I would answer on Front Porch Forum, because I know a number of other people have that same question.
Peter answered that on Front Porch Forum already in his post, but
I can do
I
that.
think it would be
explicitly,
helpful to-
just that question.
Yeah, because people don't always see the same.
Yeah.
Not everybody reads it every day.
long emails, a lot of times people only read the first couple sentences.
That's right.
Speaking to a couple
Exactly.
people in this room.
Yes. And the other question that came up was, that people are continuing to collect the signatures for whenever there is another vote opportunity. Can they collect signatures at the meeting? We thought we could, because it's not a issue.
I would
that's gonna
think
be
that
voted
be
that night.
distracting is the only thing I have, but I
Wouldn't, well, I think not during the meeting, but like at dinner but
Yeah.
if people are coming in or people.
They're not gonna interrupt
Like,
people, but people could say, if anybody wants to sign a petition, it's available in back or available here or
Right.
whatever. Or at the tables, there'll be tables.
Yeah, there are 2.
That's distracting than the cookies.
Yeah, if you get a cookie, if you check this box.
No cookie if you check the box.
You'd have to find out which kind of cookie.
I
I only
think
put a couple of each kind.
that's it for my list. Paula asked about, or Sabina asked about the newsletter, and we know that, and we'll get something.
Well, I think this is very exciting, but it's also, everybody's also anxious too, because everybody wants it to work so well.
Yeah.
Because people are looking to us to be, essentially a pilot case for the state
Yeah.
and how to make a hybrid meeting work.
Yeah, well, I think I always go back to what Sam, who's on the task force, does, which is the fact that this is the first time we're doing it means it's the worst it'll ever be.
That's-
We've done our best to plan it and we'll improve it. And we're gonna set a meeting for afterwards and make notes of what worked and what didn't work. And, we know that on October 5th, the main feedback we got was that was great and it was too heavy on presentation. So we're very conscious of that for this one. We just wanna keep improving, and I think there's a level of sort of positive attitude in that sense, so. I think I know the task force is really appreciative of the attitude the select board has had about this, and also the town staff, that Paula and Sabina, we don't make all our deadlines, we don't. But everybody, and we forget things like the warning thing, like what? So, there's just an attitude, okay, we'll figure it out. And that's been really great.
Thank you.
So just for myself, I'm planning on just showing up. Having dinner, going up to the front of the room, sitting at a table and having my own notes and having nothing else prepared.
That's what we
Is
do.
there anything else that you're expecting? You're expecting the select board to have a computer to present, to run the screen behind us?
We've never done that. I mean, we just sit here and talk.
But the
That's a
town,
question for Angelica
Right.
and Paula.
Yeah, because
I
that's,
want to make sure we don't all think that, oh, well, there'll be a screen behind us and there's a computer for that, but and then no one brings that computer.
Right.
well, that's true. Usually we just show up and have our little,
When I say we, I don't mean the three of us, I mean the town, the town,
yeah.
us and staff.
The
And
three of us just show up and talk.
we're gonna show up and talk, and we're gonna have a computer that we can click into an HDMI and put it up behind
Right.
us. and then
Well, the
everything
tech
else
group is
Is,
they're gonna have a dry run tomorrow. Dave is gonna be there, the moderator.
Okay.
Tech group.
Do you know when that
The
is?
group that we pay for, they're,
No,
No.
they're tech group.
I don't know
Oh,
if
okay.
Beth or Maria-
Hey, Gallagher.
You know when Beth or Maria, do you know when the tech meeting is tomorrow at the high school? I don't know, sorry, but.
I'm Gallagher, you'll be there.
mhm.
I'm sure you're quick enough to ask her.
when you find out, if you could text me, I don't know if I'll be available, but I might be available. if it's
About-
later in the-
Oh, to go to the school?
Yeah. Depending.
Yeah,
on
you're.
I'm gonna text her and just see if I can find out for you.
Oh, thank you, Beth.
I guess I could have done that.
I'll hold that, yeah, we want to actually.
So do you want to move on to this warning, or what would you like to do?
I think that's-
We've answered your questions,
Mhm.
and I don't think we have any more of you. Do we?
No, thank you so much. I really,
Thank you,
Yeah,
it's a
Gay.
lot of work and it's,
I'll be on Zoom, so.
So basically, what we've prepared is, the draft of the PMRI, where we talk a little, Paul's put together a little tidbit, and it's got the Zoom link. And then, for the meeting itself, we're gonna start just like normal. Dave should say his usual words about voting and stuff. And then number one on the because it would be just like what's going to go actually into the town report. It's number one is the article on the budget. The article two is the fire department budget. And then what we can avoid for tomorrow is article 3 and article 4, which is the boilerplates with the taxes and equal installments and collecting the taxes, because I don't think that's pertinent to TMRI.
So take that number 3 and 4 out?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
it's what we do, but
Yeah.
anything below 3, anything 3 and below really
Yep.
are much more attuned to the Australian ballot voting.
don't we still have?
You said
Don't we still?
wanted 5 in there, other
Well,
business.
the other businesses not proper. I think that's important because that's part of, what people go to town meeting for is the stuff that they talk about afterwards that may not necessarily have been warned. But, they want to say, the food hub has done this or that, or, things like that. 'Cause
Right,
that's the important community part of the town meeting.
right.
Um,
The one thing, yes, and it's just gonna be a meeting that starts at 6 o'clock at night. So
Right.
that's the one, that's again why moving the thing, I think we've talked about just how do we keep the meeting moving forward. It may require being more attentive to, how many minutes, if it's long, avoiding long diatribes, et cetera.
But I think we could do it fairly reasonably, still give enough information if we do it by our particular top, our little segments. And just hit the highlight within that segment and then see if anybody has any questions, and then you move on to the next one.
Right.
And that can be based on what we did yesterday, zooming through the budget. It's,
Mm-hmm,
within an hour and a half.
mm-hmm.
And that gives time for the fire department budget, which people really, like to hear about. And then,
But remember, you have a process of making amendments
right,
and
Right,
motions.
to grind the whole thing to a halt.
right,
Yeah.
it could, yeah.
So
it
that,
could,
that is,
yeah, but that's why we're trying to just do the,
I
Just
think
highlights.
we can't be planning on talking for an hour and a half.
no, we do typically,
We need to really.
but I think it, we had a lot of
We definitely
discussion
don't do a ton
yesterday,
of
and
time.
our whole meeting was only an hour and a half, and we went through all kinds of stuff
Mhm.
and really did a lot of talking that wasn't on, the budget, on that particular bracket. But I think if you just did the headlines, because when we do our informational meetings, that's what we've done.
Yeah.
And that goes fairly quickly. And then.
Do you feel like Dave has a handle on how to manage these things, like what articles we'll be talking about and what order they're happening in and all of that?
I don't think we ever envisioned the fire department as being, but I can remind him of that. The article, you're talking about Article 1, 2, and 5 would basically be the three that we'd be talking about on the
Right.
23rd.
Mhm,
Do we-
mhm.
But do we
Well,
need to debate and discuss the fire department, or should that just be on the?
We can't amend the fire department budget.
no, you can't, but at least
So
it just gets talked, it gets presented, so people.
I think we should not have it as an
I don't think we
article.
want to have it.
Okay.
We can't do it.
Yeah,
Why
but
not?
if it's already
Well,
been said, we'll be talking about things that can be.
Okay, then we'll just have to have,
It could be talked about in other business, I guess, if somebody had a question, but
that's good. I just was thinking, well, people are.
Yeah, he gets off scot-free. We get
Oh,
from
no,
the
we're gonna
firing
bring it
squad
in for-
and he gets off scot-free.
No, we'll bring you in for a required informational meeting. He has to come in for that one then.
That's true.
Then we'll
well, I
make
would
it.
just unilaterally say no. I'm just surprised. I hadn't thought about it.
I just thought about- I mean-
We can't amend it.
No, you can't, but on the other hand, people, well, yes, you could. I mean, we've accepted it, but people can't amend the budget. I mean, they've done it in the fire.
It's not
department.
like the library where there's a separate body voting that.
Right,
I see. So you could amend it.
you could amend it.
Well, if that's true, then we should make sure, I assume that you want the fire chief there or somebody from the fire.
I mean, that's why he comes and, people, it was years,
But is he planning on coming to this meeting, you know?
I don't know. I mean,
Yes.
I have to find
I'm
out.
pretty sure I heard him say yes.
Matt?
And he signed up.
Matt.
I would just leave it as one, because if you get into deep discussions about something or someone wants to change it, that's gonna take up a lot of time.
And it was many, many, many moons ago that the fire department budget got,
I also feel like, that this is the first time we're doing this, and if people are like, wait a minute, where's the fire department? Okay, noted, next year we'll have the fire department part of the conversation.
Sure.
We didn't
Right.
think of that. Great point, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We made a mistake. We're gonna make mistakes.
well, that's true, because we have no idea.
I better err on the side of less content and more time to get through stuff and.
Are there any public questions that the select board is putting forward?
No,
So there are no property tax abatement thing, B2Bs for.
No.
Okay, so it's just the budget.
that's the budget.
Mm-hmm.
That's the budget.
So does this format work for you?
We just, clean it up and this is for for next week, and then for the town meeting warning, we have to do the real one.
So should
Yes, which I have.
All of these come off?
Yes, I'm gonna take them.
Two through.
Yep,
13.
4. Oh, you're looking at the other,
I'm looking at this 2-page one, this Zoom,
That's what I'm looking.
that's an old one. So we redid it and it's just, you're just gonna see this number 1 where the yellow is.
Okay.
And then the last 2 other business thought proper when met, and the select board will review the FY26 budget. So, and then that official warning will be at the next.
for town meeting, for actual town
He
meeting.
did send that in a separate, that was a
Yes.
separate attachment in that.
Yep.
email.
Yep.
Yeah, in fact, that's why we have to, we might as well, the night of the meeting reimagined,
Is approve that.
we approve the budget that goes to the printer.
Mm-hmm.
Right, unless something goes sideways, I think it's important that we right there.
Yes.
I make a motion,
Yep.
pass the budget, all those in favor, we vote it, and
Yep.
it's done. It's very
Exactly.
public that you guys just made
Yep.
adjustments and we are accepting them unless something goes completely
It's
off the
sideways.
rails.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. But we do have to maintain.
The other thing I was gonna say to you is that's why I noted in your, Jericho is sort of among a group of towns that are testing this, how do we adjust how we do town meeting so we can make sure more people can vote, but in a way that we all get to participate. As one example, I think it's Duxbury has a Have Your Say Day. Similarly to
Tech meeting for
in
tomorrow, we
advance
imagined is
of the
happening
town meeting
between 2
vote,
and 3.
they have a meeting where people can make comments and take, I don't know whether they're
Okay.
managing it in the same way, like with the town moderator, et cetera, but it is a similar
But they
structure.
do change their budget at that point?
I don't know the exact, but
Your
it
point
is
is that there's
similar.
other towns are wrestling with
Right,
this.
Waterbury
process.
is now doing something this year that is following the Have Your Say Day approach. Somebody last year, I remember, I can never remember what town it was, whether it's Thetford, I think it was Thetford. It has a interim meeting, and that was the basis for making the motion.
Last year, I
To
agree with that.
include that interim step. So you don't want to say Jericho's the only one, but it is true that, we are part of a group of people really trying this out.
Well,
And
based on
it
what
is
VLC, I'm sorry.
it is a general conversation, is especially how do you manage participation remotely?
Yeah.
And how do you balance this sense of more people voting and yet also preserving the kind of direct democracy, have your say.
Well, the reason I said that is because VLCT, and some of the questions I had, worked with them on, early on when we were starting the process, felt that what we were doing was beyond what some of the other towns are doing. They were looking at it, this is sort of a pilot kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I think that's true. We're not the only, we're doing it in our own way,
Right.
but there are other towns trying to manage this.
And then we're,
balance.
because we're, I guess, one of the few that are really talking about voting, really.
Right.
Really trying to, do voting several ways.
Okay, so do we need a motion to pass that on? Or not, do we not need it? Because it's just a warning. She's gonna warn it and that's the warning.
Yeah, we want
don't
her,
have
to-
motions for
we want
warnings.
her to pass the draft, yes, over to the, so that's on the website. Just like. you
No,
just-
I know we need that, but on the agenda is this warning. And we don't need to approve it because it's just a warning.
Yeah,
right?
it's a draft town meeting warning. What you're looking at is a warning, with all the stuff on it.
Right, so you don't need us to make a motion to approve.
We just,
That's just what she's gonna do. Got it.
yeah, but after. When we do the final budget, we will have to do the official warning because both of those have to go to the Australian ballot. And,
So that's what I was wondering. So
That's what Peter
Tonight,
said
we
on
also
the
have to-
23rd.
we're just doing the draft tonight so that they
Okay.
can use it for TMRI.
Okay.
And goes with the budget that we sent to TMRI.
Got it.
But after the 23rd, if we don't want to have another meeting,
there's no if there. Okay.
No, do it on the 23rd.
we need to do it on the 23rd, the official town meeting warning, because both of those then,
And the Australian ballot and all the things that go on there, all those.
yes.
I have that
Item,
separate.
all
I'll
of
have
that-
a new
all of that can
warning.
Happen on the 23rd.
Yes,
Okay.
after the TMRI,
TMRI.
because the first thing we'll do is approve the budget
All right.
with changes as noted.
Yep.
Okay, thank you so much. I mean,
Yeah,
this
thank
is,
you.
this is, as we said, exciting and nerve-wracking at the same time.
Yes.
Thank you, Gay.
All right, select board updates. I think that's where we are, right? Excellent. I have a couple quickies to start with. And that's it, we were actually quite pleasantly surprised, but on the 7th, the Jet Force movie with Common Ground, actually, in spite of that being one of those snowy, blustery nights that we thought nobody would come out, we had 31 people, including farmers.
Wow. Wow.
And then on the 8th, they had similar weather issues. And they had more than 150 people come out to the food hub dinner.
No way. That's really good.
Yeah, and it was snowy and cold, just the, you know,
That's
'cause that
great.
was the Wednesday night.
That's great.
It was great. And the reception for the students, we had quite a few, you know, I didn't count the people because we busy talking to the people. But there were parents who came without the students, and there were parents who came with students. It would have been nice to have more students, but it turns out anybody who does the artwork or anything at the high school, they're busy in so many other things. We had students who, they couldn't quite make it because they were going to the dance competition, with the dance group to Lemoyle. There was people with the wrestling matches. There was this and the other thing. Plus, it was also a gorgeous sunny day, and and the students had been in school all week. Even the school wasn't canceled, but all their after-school activities were. So everybody who could hit the slopes were helping with the
Oh,
slopes.
wow.
But what was nice is we thought was a good turnout, and the principal came
Oh, nice.
and stayed a while and, looked at what the students were doing.
That's good.
But we realized, since this was the first time we've done the students here, that we went, oh, we should have got the school board here to see what art means for the community and the students.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So anyway, that's what, that's next on our next year's tickler list. Because, and then Paula and I attended a webinar on town meeting preparation. Because, it had more information on the Australian ballot processes, because they did change some of the things in this last legislative session. Normally, if with the town meeting, Australian ballot, like we did during COVID, because we could do it then without having to do the passing of the vote like we did last year. You had to do within not more than 10 days, but not less than 5 days, do an official warned informational hearing on the budget. They've now changed that, so it's just one meeting is required. It's not more than 30 days, but not less than 10 days before the meeting. When we did
Cut down by meetings by one that we.
Right.
we're
You
required
just
to do?
can do one informational hearing.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, we actually, when we had the original one, we weren't required to do the second one, only the one, the 10-day, that block was the one required. We had chosen to do the one earlier in the month because people who come in to vote earlier, we wanted to have them have an informational meeting before they voted early.
Much gray hair over it.
Yeah. So, but obviously with TMRI and all the information and the website and stuff, we could go just to the one sometime in February. If the select.
Fewer is better.
In February, you mean?
February.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sometime in February, but not, it's a few days, it's a few days before the. You have to do your break is 10 days before, so sometimes with 30 days preceding, but, not more than 10 days, not less than 10 days before. So, somewhere in that period of time in February, we just need to do one information meeting.
Yep.
And then we need to let people know who were concerned that they weren't getting the town reports, that they still get them. It's required to get them 10 days prior to town meeting, which is the March date. So that's where I am. Any updates?
The only update I have, I think, is a executive session.
Looking for the questions really. Okay.
Anything, Paula?
Nope.
Alrighty, then we are going to approve the minutes of, January 2nd, and, I found in my packet, and I
Sorry, I
found,
do have one thing. The warrants. I actually read through them a little bit. I just had one question on there.
Yeah,
There was a check out to Jericho Storage.
yes.
Why do we have that?
We have summer rec. They have storages. They have two
all the
storage.
toys, all the stuff that they do for
okay.
summer rec.
We're actually looking into something different that I'm hoping it might help. We pay for 2 storage units for summer rec, and we're looking into possibly Megan has looked into a container that you can purchase for $3,000,
Wow.
and it's fully
That's it
locked
then.
and
Where
nothing.
is it? Where did
You can purchase some and it can,
building?
yeah,
But where would we put it? If we-
at the town hall, at the town garage, right by the
Oh,
cold storage.
yeah.
Oh,
So
yeah.
I think that would save a lot of money.
Oh, what we were talking about.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pay you
Yeah,
rather than an ongoing
right.
payment to storage.
yep, yep.
And
So,
you also can, it's more accessible.
absolutely.
Cool. Thanks. I was just curious about.
Yes,
why
yep.
we would have-
But anyway, on the minutes, both in the packet, and then I looked at the digital select board packet. Neither one, there was the back pages missing on every one of those. So I went back to I looked at, the digital minutes,
Your digital minutes, you
Yeah.
didn't get the back of,
and I did not, in my packet, but even when I looked on.
I have, this is digital that I printed off.
Yeah, but my digital still left off, when I looked at it even on the iPad, it left off the middle pages. So I had to go back to the original one that was the
Huh.
very first posting without the letters, without the line numbers. I
Huh.
had no idea what
Oh,
were
gosh, I
going.
didn't even notice that. It jumps from
does
line
yours?
161
Yeah,
to
his-
line 218.
His jump.
Mine did 161 to 162, 63,
Yeah, see,
64.
What?
see,
I
that's
didn't
what
even
I got,
notice that.
that's what I did,
17.
that's what I found.
Like, see, that's the thing. How do you catch that stuff? You should have, because you're right, the sentence just cuts off.
Yeah, and I tried to do it from your packet, we get this, for Eric and the Peter, and I get that, and mine did, on the iPad, it did exactly the same thing it's doing on your
How is it
laptop.
possible that Peter has it? Oh, because
Yeah.
you printed it out from earlier,
I just printed out from the thing that Linda sent us.
but not from the packet. You printed it out from the thing she sent earlier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sounded like a week ago.
Oh, that makes
No,
sense.
Oh, yeah. right.
Yes,
Now I'm
yes.
looking at it. Yes, I printed it-
Okay.
I printed it from just here, the minutes.
Okay, all right,
Yeah. and
Okay.
In my case, I had no
Yep.
line number.
okay.
But anyway, I had a question. I thought you were here in the building and not at 7:29.
He arrived late that day.
Was it that day? Because I thought there was
Mhm.
another one that he was late too.
No,
was
just,
January 2nd? Why was it late January 2nd?
No, because it wasn't January 2nd,
No,
he
it
was
wasn't.
late.
I think
He was
it's a-
here in the building.
That's a copy paste, I think. I
oh,
was there all meeting
Okay.
January 2nd. It was
Okay.
the previous meeting was when I.
Okay.
school
Right,
thing.
that's what I thought.
December
Okay.
15th, I was.
That's why I was gonna ask you. 'cause,
Yeah,
Yeah,
I was there.
and then, of course, we have, again, another single name, Kate. And we have no idea.
Kate. I've tried to write them down, so I'll find that.
Yeah, I mean, but other than that, I thought, it was reasonable.
There's on line 161, which you guys probably can't see, but there's a period missing. at the end of the very last sentence, the entire thing.
Oh,
I actually had one for line 109. It's just. I guess I couple. It went from public to be heard
109.
and then
Oh,
right.
geez, yeah,
right
that's,
into- there's like, should be a new paragraph. or
Yeah.
something starting at 109 where it
Yep.
gets bold. Or maybe it's,
but the end of public to be heard was wastewater, at the end of it was wastewater, and then I went to the very original one, and there's a break, and it says review and consider approval of David White's amended contract. And then, is that where you're missing a page, maybe?
it just.
No.
No.
Oh, I am missing a page. You're right. It goes from 54 to 109. That's why. All right.
Wait.
I wasn't even looking.
I was like, it all makes total sense. I clearly have the right version, you guys.
I have the right version too, so,
So on 161, there should be a period at the end of the sentence.
yep.
That's all I have.
Yeah, and I don't know why I should bother reading it if I don't notice.
We don't notice two entire pages are missing.
I just did not think we were able to read. That should have been.
Good.
I carved out.
And then at the top, changing 6:30 AM to PM.
I did see
Yeah,
that.
Oh.
we saw that, yeah.
Okay,
But AM, PM, my arrival time, and that whole period.
yep, okay. That's it? All right. Okay,
And so we need a motion to,
Motion to approve the minutes, Peter's version, as amended.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And now it's time for the warrants, and it's time for,
Make a motion to go into executive session because premature disclosure of information to the parties involved for reasons of
thank you guys.
personnel and
Thank you
legal.
very much.
And I'd like to invite Paula to the executive session, please.
Second.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Have a good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Both-
Send the draft
You have to
budget.
come out, you have to do the, come out, we did the
can't-
first,
No, but we can't be in Zoom. We can't come out on Zoom because that means you're in executive session on Zoom. We're already out. We're already out.
We're
we're
good.
already,
So I'll make a motion to send the draft budget to the website with a total budget amount of $3,571,007.
Second.
Peter second, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. And you came out at 9:57, we made a motion. And
Motion to adjourn.
motion to adjourn is Eric.